Well, good morning. Welcome to the commission meeting for July the 9th of 2025. This time we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Ruth, would you please lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
You did that. Makes me want to forget it. That's from my house. That's why I was so cold.
Thank you. He was playing the mailman.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
Yeah, this first.
You're just the messenger.
Okay. All right, Eddie, Tara, whoever. Okay, please.
Do you see anything you,
Just need a motion to approve the real estate.
I know, but you see anything? I moved, we, approve the exonerations.
A good portion of those, I don't want to find this real quick, a good portion of those are tax tickets that came out and had a zero value for the vehicle. The tax amount was correct, but it showed a zero value for the vehicle, so we canceled those tickets and reissued supplementals. And the state can't explain to us why the vehicle shows zero value.
Okay. All right.
There may be more of those.
Have a second.
Thank you so much.
I'll second. We have a motion to second on the floor. All those in favor? Aye.
Sorry, John.
Anything else? Good one. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. There is.
Okay, vouchers and invoices.
No, I think they will fine. Yeah. So I move we approve vouchers and invoices.
Second.
Have a motion to second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Move to approve payroll for 7-Eleven.
Second.
Have a motion to second on the floor to approve payroll for 7-Eleven. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to approve meeting minutes for 6:25 and the special meeting for 6:30.
Second.
Second on the floor. All those in favor?
I move that we approve the estate settlements.
I will abstain from voting. I'm personally involved with them.
I will second the estate settlements. We have a motion to second on the floor. All those in favor? Aye.
And one abstention. Did it?
Man, you guys went faster than I keep on.
All right, so the first item is the coal severance budget revision, first one for the fiscal year, it brings it up to current. And it actually went down slightly because you gave us a loan to a PSC.
I mean, we approved the budget revision.
I'll second. Have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next item is the audit procurement, y'all had talked about, you wanted to put ours out to bid.
Mhm.
So there's a whole process, I think you have the process in your packet, but the first thing you have to do is establish an audit committee. 3
Mhm.
people minimum, 5 people max. One of you guys, and then at least 2 other people that are familiar with the accounting system or whatever, so.
Well, I think it should be you, me, and Gia. But I think,
I mean, that's kind of what we figured would come, but that's up to y'all, so.
given all of the issues we've had. You guys cool with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
So I move that we appoint me, Ruth, and Gia to form an audit committee so we can procure our auditor.
And then our names will be put out on the bid list, and we'll have to do like an RFP and that kind of stuff, it's. Well, no pages.
Yay,
Yeah,
didn't tell me that.
yeah, so,
Okay.
well, we'll check you and I'll
Okay,
get out.
so I made a motion.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so the next two items are new employees. One is a 911 dispatcher. I don't think they've started yet. I think it'll be next week, but you guys, I sent you guys the information.
I was gonna ask if they had started. Okay, so I move that we approve both hires, the hire for 911 and community corrections. Could you give me their names again?
Yeah, Matthew Atkins is the DRC driver, and he'll actually start tomorrow, and Mitchell, I want to say Savina.
Savina, Savina.
Okay, for 911. I move we approve both hires.
Second.
Second. Got a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, gym reimbursement policy. So you guys have talked about reimbursing deputies that have to pass their physical fitness or whatever. Reimbursement of a gym membership at $30 a month. We just need a policy. I sent you guys some examples. I think the simplest would be quarterly. They fill out a form. Request reimbursement, attach receipts to show that they actually go up to $30 a month.
I agree with that.
I do too.
I move we approve Ruth implementing that policy as presented.
Second.
Got a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now it's Brian's turn.
Right.
I'll tell you guys later. In the email
Received.
received, and we were just checking for, one of our employees, John, who's, either certified electrician in Ohio, and also he's just not certified in West Virginia, but he does everything we've ever asked. He actually came to the last meeting with us, he has several Facebook. I think the money that we asked for is very worth it for an employee like that. He's still at the 40 threshold there too. So it's not like we're rolling a big number. But this guy is an asset, not just to the park, but he's also helped me out at the memorial building and other things like that too. And like today, 4-H camp's there, Camp Stewart's there, he's in every bar, rec hall as we speak. He's on it.
Well, I think his raise is justified. I just want to encourage you in the future to ask for these when you do your budget.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, so I move that we approve the raise.
I'll second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the only question is this in addition to the cost of it or inclusive of? Because he got the two. So would you do it in addition or include?
I asked for the addition because that got for the kids close to that 40 number
Okay.
there. That's why.
That's the only clarification.
That's what we approved. Okay. so
Dale, did you say he's an electrician?
He's at everything.
Is he willing to try to get that license here?
I think if that's something that he's just kind of backed off that, came to work for us instead, which is.
I just wonder if it might help.
100%. Yeah.
I'll talk to you about it later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. EMP3.
Okay, so this is the EMPG, this is the reimbursement. It's not in here.
What is the EMPG stand?
It's the one that reimburses us for
Jack's
emergency
Jack's-
management. Yeah, but this 2023, I mean, no Jack was here yet. It's a reimbursement
Okay,
from 2 years ago.
okay, it's an award. So I move that we approve and sign the EMPG grant award.
Second.
Okay, have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so you have the truck purchases is on there next. I did not print that in.
Let's skip to that real quick, because I think we'll probably have some discussion on the purchases. In the city patrol MOU, Ruth and Michael did some homework, and we would have been running up against having to absorb overtime, like having to pay overtime ourselves for additional hours worked in other jurisdictions. So the recommendation is that we ask the other jurisdictions of participating municipalities to pay the overtime rate if that officer is in overtime. To get them the help there. Otherwise, the county would absorb that expense.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Was that anything else, Michael?
No, just that, you just have to be careful, tracking their hours. And making sure that they're not going into overtime if they're being additionally assigned those duties to the municipalities. That's why we came up with overtime.
Well, if they go into overtime, though, the municipality would have to pay that rate if they're in overtime. Is that
Yeah.
right? How about this?
Yes, I-
Would you draft a policy for us?
Yes.
And then we'll, provide that has these parameters.
Yes.
We can vote on it today.
This is any county employee, not just sheriff's department, right?
Well, I mean,
Just sheriff's department?
They're civil service, so they're a little different
yeah.
as far as how we have to handle things.
Right, and just so you know, I mean, that's what Kanawha County does. They set a reimbursement rate. They actually calculate, basically what it would cost the county to basically pay for that employee to go and be stationed in a municipality. They factor in their hourly rate, any employer contributions that the county would have to make, related to that, and set that as the reimbursement rate for the municipalities. The reason that they do that is it then becomes a neutral, it's just a neutral benefit. The county's not out any additional money. The municipality is basically covering the cost of what the county would have to cover for that basically employee. So
Any overtime?
yeah, well, the entire rate, they set it all based on, they have a one set rate. So, and I'm making up a number here, but they calculated that the hourly rate at the overtime rate plus any sort of employer contributions is $90 an hour or something like that. I'm making that number up for hypothetical reason, but and that's the rate. So if you want a sheriff's deputy to be in that municipality doing that for 8 hours, then you're gonna pay that $90 times 8 rate to the county, and it's a net neutral. The county's not making money off of it, but the county's not losing any money off of it. There is one county, I won't mention the name, that apparently does try to make a little bit of a profit off of the municipality by then additionally adding like vehicle charges for, vehicle usage and things like that. But that was one county out of what the most of the other counties were doing. So I'll work with Ruth and get a hourly rate that we think is the number that creates a net neutral for the county.
So let me get this, I mean, and
Yeah.
just to clarify,
Yeah.
this is not for normal coverage. I mean, we're not charging municipalities for a deputy sheriff
No.
to represent an area. This is any special event or any special request or anything they've asked for them to specifically have somebody to cover an event.
Well,
No?
not really. It's
What
more
would it
so
pertain
when a
to?
municipality does not have the police force, may due to attrition or other
Or
issues
just
that
not
they
enough.
just cannot recruit or whatever, and so therefore they're down to maybe just having a police chief. Well, the police chief can't cover that municipality 24 hours a day,
Right.
7 days a week. And so we can enter into an agreement with the municipality to provide a special deputy essentially that would be covering that municipality specifically, not doing routine patrols and then responding to them, but being in that municipality, basically acting as the law enforcement for that county or for that municipality, but under the badge of the sheriff's department. So the county remains liable for any acts or inactions that result from the deputies' conduct down there. And they put in the chain of command is the sheriff is the boss of that deputy, but that deputy would be basically patrolling that municipality. And
As
so,
a volunteer, so in addition to his duties and.
yes, yeah,
And that would be paid by the municipality if they
Yes.
request that.
yes,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got
And
you.
it's
I just wanted to
outside of
clarify.
It's outside of the regular. shift.
Right.
right.
I mean-
Yeah, it would be in addition to any sort of regular shift that they would be working. So they may be assigned to 40 hours and then the sheriff told a deputy to go down to whichever municipality and cover an 8-hour, shift or whatever, however they work it out, whatever the coverage is needed.
I got you.
And so then the rate that would be charged would just be a net neutral to the, county in terms of we're providing this service, it's not costing the county anything out of pocket or anything like that. Does that make sense?
I'm satisfied, yeah.
Is it premature to pass it now pending the policy edits? I think we could go ahead and pass, approve the policy and concept, and then we can make edits to Michael's draft. So I'm gonna move, we approve the policy in concept pending draft from our council.
I'll second.
Motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move to the 9:15 Planning Commission.
Okay, so this is case C 546 25 2. It's request of Bradley Designs LLC. The owner for a change in land classification from rural residential to B3 tourism district on the property legally described as 6.29 acres served Arbuckle Summerlee. The planning commission met June 2nd, and as always, I will read their motion. You guys should have a copy of these minutes. Mr. Morgan approves the motion, the rezoning to B3. Mr. Tucker seconds, no other discussion. The last statement was this is a more restrictive use and limits the number of people in the neighborhood. So that was the planning commission's recommendation.
Had no objections from the neighbors or?
Yes, all of those objections are in the minutes. I do. And there, you guys, there was a petition, you guys should have had a copy, but I haven't had a copy of that, but I do think there's neighbors here. And other people, so I will set that and let you guys.
I have one question before we get started. Has the road gotten wider? Did they plow on both sides of the road to make it a 2-lane road?
No, it's
We're
the
still
same
a single
size
lane
it's
road.
always been.
Okay, thank you. All right. Does anyone like to, should we have the applicant or his attorney speak first, or want to go with, how would you like to go there, commissioners?
I'd say we let the petitioner speak first, have
Okay.
Mr. Dove come up and make that case, and then we could take any responses after.
My name is Evan Dove. I'm an associate attorney employed by Clay Law Firm here in Fayetteville, West Virginia, under Paul Clay. I represent the petitioner in regard to this matter, Bradley Designs, owned by Mr. Lohman. In regard to this petition that has gone through the Planning Commission, this is a reclassification through the Planning Commission from a rural residential area. It is currently on the county's maps as a rural undeveloped land. A bit of history in regard to this particular piece of property. This is a piece of property that borders the Arbuckle and Lois Lane subdivisions in the county territory. It was originally owned by a mining company in the 70s and 80s. That company unfortunately sold most of its surface right assets and split its mineral rights, of course, as most properties in Fayette County have been, to a land development company in the 80s. That land development company intended this area, this 6-acre lot and the surrounding parcels, to be developed into a subdivision to match Lois Lane subdivision and the Arbuckle subdivision. Unfortunately for that company, they hit the financial straits of the 80s, which most probably remember the gas crisis, and ultimately they went under. No development took place for approximately 3 decades on these parcels. However, adjacent parcels were eventually developed as a trailer park and then absorbed by, if I'm not mistaken, the city of Oak Hill. In regard to the recent history with this parcel, it was a residential vacant lot with nothing on it. It eventually went for tax sale and then was purchased through a bidding process by my client. My client then began development of the parcel, and ultimately there has been a previous petition that was put forth and some confusion both with the zoning and planning office for my client, which resulted in basically warnings of stop work order and to kind of get clearance for these particular matters. My client then retained our office to be able to successfully comply with all of the county provisions and ordinances in regard to this parcel of land. Specifically, my client originally intended this parcel to serve potentially as a mixed use, also RV lot camping. However, after a very strong pushback from local residents in the area and in an interest to cooperate with the residences of the area, the RV plan was dropped. It was then formulated into its current version, of which is solely for the use of a potential B3 zone. And as a brief reminder of what a B3 zone is, it is effectively a business zone. However, it has a special designation in that it is to be used for recreational based zones, such as light use campgrounds. I would state for the commission that this is different than some of the recreational zones that you all may be familiar with, such as AOTG's land, the land owned by the Johnsons under the Rivers Expeditions Company, and of course ACE down in the Oak Hill Minden area. These areas are grandfathered in, allowing certain provisions for things like ATVs, motorized sports, what have you. However, this provision does not allow it. It does not have enough land to allow it. The only thing that this B3 area will allow, and the only thing that is planned for this area by my client, is in fact to have small, effectively luxury cabins that are placed on the property. There is presently in active use 3 to 4 small property that have already been approved, of course, by the relevant health administrations and planning authorities. Small little luxury personal built cabins, which have been manufactured for this purpose. Things like the snow load, wind load, and various other safety concerns have been addressed and approved. And ultimately, the plan for this is to effectively have approximately 5 of these small structures to rent out on a basis of a cabin recreational basis. In addition to that, there has been a buffer zone which has been developed and built of approximately 120 feet of forested area which has not been developed in a circular pattern with all adjacent neighbors to be able to have a view shed built so that they will not be interrupted or in any way aggrieved by persons using the campground, and for sound and nuisance based concerns as well. In addition to that, it has an entranceway that has been designed and approved by the Department of Highways, in which folks will enter into the property. It will cut off, and then it is not though when you turn off on the property, you're immediately in the campground. There is a road that takes you back, which is gravelled and eventually paved, that takes you to these luxury cabins. It is great concern to my client to make sure that his neighbors are not aggrieved or nuisanced by this property. That is why he has effectively changed the entire development process of this parcel. He is approximately $40,000 worth of investment that has been put into this. And as previously stated by your planning and zoning officer, this is something that the planning commission found was a less restrictive alternative that puts more conditions on my client. It will permanently make it so that this lot cannot be developed for other uses. It has to be this B3 recreational based use with these very strict compliance terms. And as the commission is also aware, there's a difference between permitted uses and special uses that have to come back and ask for different conditions from your zoning board. These permitted uses are more restrictive than other lots. I say all this for the commission to understand that the current usage of this lot, if it were to be grandfathered in under the previous code section prior to 2009, and even a potential argument under the current code section, is rural residential lots. As the commission is aware, the current Board of Zoning conditions is that a new residential property needs 2 acres to be developed under the current code 2009 and the comprehensive plan that was adopted by former versions of this. Ultimately, My client is $40,000 deep in development with this. He's changed development twice to be able to make sure that he does not bother his neighbors. However, without permission of the commission, without permission of the planning commission, without permission of board of zoning, under the current laws right now, he can knock every tree on this land down and develop it into a subdivision. Even without subdivision permitting and various ordinances, taxes, and bonds to be taken, he can put 3 houses every 2 acres of land subdivided into 3 different parcels. And then go back to the zoning commission if he sells these parcels to various owners that no longer he has any control over. They can ask for additional accessory structures or other houses on these properties. And absolute bluntness to the commission, the surrounding properties are located on approximately 1.1 and 1.4 acres per household. So that is a very compelling argument that basically a new owner 10 years from now, my client would subdivide and break off this parcel to, could go back and say, hey, we have 2 some acres of property. We want to put our family member, our cousin, whomever on this, break this 2 acres into 1 acres and put 2 houses. So as it stands right now, he builds 3 houses on this, sells it to 3 different people. Average cars on these 2 to 3 cars a household, as many of you are aware with your own families, that's going to be an increase of approximately 9 to 12 cars on this road. We have measured the road. Ultimately, it does not have a subdividing yellow line that goes down the middle of it. However, it is approximately the same size as most county and city roads for that car development cycle. I won't lie to the commission. There will be more cars on this road. Ultimately, it might need expansion in the future. But with that being said, this is a planned subdivision development road. It was originally made back in the 40s and 50s to handle 2 subdivisions going down it. They built the road smaller back then, as you all are aware. In regard to this, I must also inform the commission, and again, I do not intend this to come off in any way as aggressive or against the neighbors or what have you. It's simply a matter of business at this point. My client has been approached by other members, other interested buying partners. He intends to operate this campground with him eventually living on it, providing 24-hour supervision so that nobody can basically cause any concerns. However, the people that are interested in this property are individuals who intend to develop this property as massive subdivision development, multifamily residential houses. And the other is a developer that intends to expand the trailer park that it is adjacent to. And I must say that ultimately, the original trailer park that this was adjacent to was originally thought to have been, oh, it's never going to expand. Well, Oak Hill petitioned to essentially take this land. It was acquiesced to and absorbed into Oak Hill, and it expanded the trailer park. So in conclusion, commissioners, my client desires to put more restrictions on himself so that he does not upset his neighbors. But make no mistake, this vacant land, which has been vacant for 30+ years, it will be developed either to the original standards of the residential development subdivision or under the current rules of the commission and the board, but it's not going to remain empty forest forever. Unfortunately, this is the cost of property development. We would ask that that property development be restrictive, quiet, for the purpose of small campgrounds and recreational use, as is compliant with the comprehensive plan and the business development for Fayette County. We don't want it to eventually have to be sold to recover our losses to somebody who's not going to respect anything, come in here and mow down everybody and not care, which will happen. I guarantee it. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one. You said eventually that he would move there. Do you have plans of someone being there 24/7 to make sure that the noise is at a minimum?
Yes, sir. It will be staffed 24 hours a day. And the only reason that he is not permanently on the site right now is one of the planned development slots is in fact his own personal house that he intends to build. But of course, that takes time.
And currently you have how many cabins there?
In operation at the moment, I believe there's three current, two currently in operation. There are three structures located there.
And you're gonna have a total of 5,
It is planned that eventually be 5 structures.
for a total of 5 structures.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, but there might be accessory structures as permanent living structures, or not permanent living, the cabins, 5 with additional structures like a laundry room or something.
Bathhouse. So.
Yes,
And is Mr. Lohman's residence included in the 5 or is that
Yes.
additional? Okay.
How many acres again? Was it 6 acres?
it is approximately 6.2 if I'm not mistaken. And again, these structures that we're talking as cabins are not full-size single residential family houses. They have an area square footage above a tiny house ordinance under the city of Fayetteville, if you are familiar with them, but they are not as large as a house.
So what's the square footage of this, of the ones now?
The 2 that are in operation are 330 square feet, 12 by 28.
Basically a cabin.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Not right now. I'm gonna want executive
Right.
session.
Okay, we'll open up the floor to anybody else who would like to speak.
Back, Mr. Townsend.
Morning, commissioners.
Good
Morning.
morning.
It's nice to see you guys in a different capacity.
We missed the other capacities. Don't we, Anthony?
Need to state your name and.
My name is Wes Tony, and I'm here on behalf of my firm, Tony Law Firm, and I represent Holly and Rick Pennell, who are neighbors in adjoining property. Let me begin with a couple things. I don't necessarily agree with the subdivision issue. I've had conversations with it. I've gotten into this matter last minute. I've gotten the petition, the documents. I've spoken to Ms. Gerald, and I would defer to her as to whether she believes that that's an accurate depiction, that this property be grandfathered in as a subdivision and pursuant to those rules. But there are 2 things I want to highlight because it's important. Number one, it's a big deal to change a classification from rural to B3. Okay. And part of that is everyone knows what rural property is. There are families there. There are kids there. They have grown up there. They purchased a property there as residential. And you've heard that, well, Mr. Loman's put $40,000 in development. Well, guess what? He purchased that property as residential. He knew when he purchased that. Did he go to his neighbors and say, hey, these are my intentions in that? No. And in fact, I want to correct something, and you guys have the packet. It was submitted in the packet. For him to say that he has gone to the neighbors and been a good neighbor and assuaged concerns, the letters speak for themselves. Not just the Pennells here today, but there are letters in there from the neighbors in opposition to this. And it primarily relates to classifying this as a B3, bringing in transient natures, Airbnb, the cabins, and the rest of it. And I want to go back to this, the Unified Development Plan, okay? Because Unified Development Plan governs how we're going to zone, how we're going to balance the competing interests. We have an interest in maintaining rural properties and maintaining neighborhoods that are safe for kids, that are safe for families. We have to balance that with encouraging business development and the rest of it. But those are competing balances. In this case, look at the competing balance. We're going to disrupt a neighborhood that has been designated rural, that have the family units there for 4 cabins. And I want to correct this because if you go back to the petition says 4 cabins. Now we're saying 5, possibly 8 more structures. This fluctuation is exactly what's happened since the very beginning of this plan, right? The petition that the petitioner says he withdrew, he couldn't win. It was defeated. And now he's got this plan that's currently before you. Now, in regards to the planning committee, okay, and you heard a little bit of it today. The neighbors went to the planning committee and they submitted letters and they expressed their concerns and their opposition, right? And what did the good neighbor Bradley LLC do? Well, if you don't agree to this, I'm gonna do worse. I'm gonna put and I've asked for the minutes wasn't prepared at that time, so I've been told a recollection of what happened. You heard a little bit of it today, but what was told was, well, we can make it worse. We'll turn it into a trailer park, or we'll turn it into subdivisions with all the rest of the people. Is that good neighbors? Is that putting a gun to these people's head and saying, hey, you better agree, you better back down? But that's how this has been since the inception, since Mr. Lohman purchased this property and began. And the other thing I want to highlight is the nature of these conversations and interactions. You know, what Mr. Dove didn't highlight is that Mr. Dove and I have opposed each other with Mr. Lohman before. In my previous capacity as the chief prosecuting attorney, when Mr. Lohman was charged with forging a deed with Miss Pennell's name to get an easement for a power line in there. Now, the state offered him a deferred adjudication. It's my understanding that he successfully completed that and charges were dismissed. Is that a good neighbor? Is that somebody that you think, hey, if they tell me I'm going to do this, I can trust them? Absolutely not. And the last thing, and you'll see it in the packet, it was attached, a Facebook message. And, I like using people's own words because it's how they really feel. Sometimes you don't get the reality when you got a presentation or you have somebody like Mr. Dove who can put things in right context and he's a good attorney. But this is a Facebook message attached as an exhibit within the packet from Mr. Lohman. It's on page 57 of the packet. It's in response to concerns about Airbnb. Fair warn, I'm an Airbnb owner in West Virginia National Park and live at the beach in a 2010 home community with expectation and HOA rules against obnoxious business. I agree with your neighbors. Neighbors are not for hotels. I live amongst 21 of them and they are horrid. They turn neighborhoods into strangerhoods. There is no respect for others' private property, as we all know and observe. When people are on vacation, rules don't apply. We have strangers standing in my front yard staring at my wallpaper, people wandering through private yards with cameras, drones spying on myself and my pool as well as other pools in the community, cars speeding, homeowners afraid to let their kids play in our private park, as it's gotten more strangers who don't live here, so they're fearful for their kids. My husband is the HOA president, and we hear it before any of the STR owners hear about it. That's not fair to anyone who has the right to enjoy peaceful living in their investments. Airbnbs are a major issue, etc., and continue. We all know that. We all know that Airbnbs come with a price. They have a benefit, right? They provide opportunities for people to come and stay someplace, but they also come with a detriment. And right here, when they're asking to zone, to change the zoning classification from rural to B3, these are the detriments. And I want to go back to the planning commission thing, because I don't think some of the threats that were made about how it could have been worse or that is accurate. I'd like an opportunity to respond to those in the zoning commission. So I'd ask you to either deny the petition or send it back to the zoning commission for further reassessment. But it is clear that this is not in the best interest of the community. It is not in the best interest of the development in this county. And it is not in the best interest of the citizens who are neighbors of this property. So put in your questions.
Commissioners, I hate to speak out of turn, but as it is my client's petition and is clearly turned into an attorney battle here, I would ask the ability as in court to respond to the statements of the responding counsel so that I can address some of the concerns and then have the last word.
Well, I think I would want to give you both the opportunity to respond.
Where-
once, okay, so go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think we have
Any
questions right
questions?
now.
I'm good with it.
Well,
Commissioners,
Just one second, please.
neighbors who aren't represented by council. Mr. Dove, can we wait until we let the neighbors who aren't represented by council
Yes,
speak real quick?
yes.
You're up, but he's on a timeline, don't, what do you
I-
have to be?
I have a court ordered deposition at 10:30. I'm also scheduled to be in front of your magistrates at 9:30 and 9:45. They're
Okay.
waiting for me now.
I'd like to go ahead and let him speak.
Yeah.
Go ahead to court.
Commissioners, in regard to the statement, I didn't want to get into this about potential conflicts between my client and Mr. Tony's clients. But I have to now address it on the statements that Mr. Tony has put forth, so I will be upfront with the commission. The original nature of the dispute between my client and Mr. Tony's clients are one of which that originally, when the property was developed, AEP, who serves the electrical power system for this subdivision and this parcel, originally came to my client and was going to hook up both a meter and a power line to it. Ultimately, that power line, AEP, because this is general practice of AEP, says go to your neighbors and get an easement so that we can hook from power line here to power line here. Ultimately, when the Lois Lane subdivision was developed and when the property in question was developed, an easement was already granted in the chain of title previously. So what effectively happened in this situation was my client doing AEP's work for them, which, by the way, it should not be done, and AEP can get in a whole lot of trouble with the Public Service Commission for this. He went to his neighbors to go get the easement. He dropped it off. Ultimately, some time period went by, and then the easement was turned back in. The easement was signed by one of the current property owners. It was not signed by the other property owner. Ultimately, that eventually had the other property's owner's name put on it and it was recorded. There was an accusation of fraud that went into it, and my client defended that fraud of a forgery where he was charged with a felony. And ultimately, based on the evidence of that case, which again, I did not want to get into, the prosecutor's office deemed it sufficient to give what is called a diversion agreement, in which the matter did not go for indictment and the matter was dismissed. In fact, the current status of that charge is it doesn't exist. It was dismissed with prejudice, as though it never happened. That's why I didn't want to bring it here today and get in a fight with any of the neighbors about it back and forth. But for the commission's understanding, this is not a big fight between all the surrounding neighbors. This is a fight of one faction of neighbors being led by one particular set of neighbors who have already been in a legal fight, which they lost with my client. With that being said, I have nothing further to say about it.
Thank you, Mr. Dove. Okay, at this point, are there any other neighbors who would like to speak about this? Sir, come on up to the podium, please. And if you would, please identify your name for everybody in the room.
Sir, my name is William Stevens, and I'm here on behalf of some of the properties, put it up to this, area about it. But I have one concern, I wasn't at the first meeting. It was told to me that they had reached out and talked to the trustees at the church, and that they were for this. And if they could, I would like to know who the trustees were that you all talked to.
Ultimately, the situation from the church was the church informed my client that they liked him being there because they liked him watching the vacant land behind the church.
Okay, now who were the members of the church that told you that?
I don't have their name, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm the pastor of the church, sir.
Pleasure to meet you.
And you all have not, as far as I know, said anything, the members I've talked to, they're not aware of this.
How many members of the church do you have, sir?
We have approximately maybe 10 people.
Okay. Well, with that case, I'm unaware of their name. That being said, have you talked to all 10 of the people?
Mhm.
And they've all basically told you that they've never had this conversation.
Right.
Okay, are they here today?
No, one of them would have been here, but her husband in the hospital had a heart attack.
Okay. Well, again, I can't confirm or deny what they haven't said. I haven't seen all of them, nor have I talked to all of them, but you are the pastor, sir. I won't say.
Right, and like I say, as far as I know, I've talked to the trustees on record, and none of them have been approached by this gentleman. Now, my concern is, I'm a little familiar with, campsite, people coming in. Now, this gentleman, this is me speaking, he's interested in money and rent things out. Does he screen these people to see what kind of people they are? Because I know from experience, when they come in and you trying to have service on Sunday morning, they're across the street having a good time, drinking beer, disrupting the service. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but that's one of the things we can probably look forward to. And I would hate to have to come out the pulpit and go across the street in that direction. Can y'all keep it down? And what you do is you run into people who feel they are entitled. I paid for this, so therefore I can do whatever I want. No, that's not the case. I grew up in Glen James. When Wild Water came in, those people came in, you couldn't get through Glen James from Friday evening to Sunday morning because they'd be out in the road drinking and partying and have a good time. And for that, I'm dead against it. And like I said, people make a statement that they have reached out and talked to the trustees of the church. I take issue with that.
Sir, I actually just confirmed with my client. Do you have someone either employed at the church or an officer of the church named Mickey Grasty?
Yeah, Mickey Grass did. Mickey's not an employee of the church. Mickey has her name on the church roll. She comes on special occasions and help when we have anniversaries of, she's not a regular or faithful attender of the church.
I apologize. It was Mickey Grasty that ultimately delivered that message from the church. If she wasn't a representative, we didn't know.
But she does not represent the church.
Yes, sir.
And I figured she was one of the people that you probably talked to. And there's a few other folks you probably talked to. And these people that they are talking to do not yet, when they were kids, they grew up, mom and daddy brought them to church. But they do, and grown up, they do not attend the church because of some stuff happened years ago that they fell out with some members. I'll never come back to that church, but they gonna stand out and be spokesman for the church. And I stand against that.
Well, I feel like we've cleared that part up, so, and you've told us that the church and you as its leader oppose the development.
Yes,
And that your personal opinion was, but do you say the church is opposed to it, the members of the church?
The members of the church that I've talked to, they also opposed to it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak that's a neighbor or part of this?
No? Okay, Mr. Tony, do you have a rebuttal?
Just briefly, because I don't want to belabor the point. The issues that I wanted to raise is since the very beginning, since the purchase, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And I don't know how anyone could argue that Mr. Bowman did the right thing. I mean, the right thing is to go to the neighbors and say, hey, I purchased this property. These are my ideas. What's going on? Now he wants to say, oh, I put $40,000 into the property. Well, that's because you didn't do the right thing at the beginning, right? And look at the neighbors. Like he can say that, oh, I have all the neighbors. The letters speak for themselves. You guys have the packet. That's an immense amount of people that have objections to the concerns. He didn't go to them. He didn't assuage the concerns. Even today, I wasn't at the planning committee, but even today, he puts a proverbial gun and says, I can make this worse, or I'm going to try to. That's not good neighbors. And I think it's reasonable that not only the Pinnells, but everyone in that packet has major concerns with trusting Mr. Bowman and his development. It's not in the best interest of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to go into executive session before we on this, but we do have farmland protection item. Do you want to go ahead and get to that? And then because we have items on the exhibit list that need to go into executive session as well. So if we can get through the 9:45 farmland protection board, then we could go into executive session and address.
And that way it may give Mr. Dove a chance to get back.
Okay, so we've got the farmland protection.
So just one second, Mr. Dove,
Yes, sir.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our 9:45, give you a chance to go over to magistrate court. And then we're gonna go into executive session and then we should come back with our,
Commissioner, if the commission comes back and I'm not here to announce a decision, ultimately, I'm not gonna object to it. My client is sitting here the entire time.
okay.
Commissioner, this is gonna be up. I'm the guardian ad litem of Mr. Duff's proceeding, so
I guess we're going.
yeah.
Well, we will issue an order. And the order will say what your appellate rights are.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, so
Okay,
you're from Farmland Protection.
9:45, farmland protection.
Come on up.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Evan Bloomstein, Director of the Fayette County Environmental Protection Board. And here just to ask for approval for 3 easements that apply to this. I believe you should have in your packet their names and some maps.
You need this?
No, sir.
Okay.
Do you, any questions?
No, I'm familiar with 2 of the 3. The third one I'm not familiar with, but
Greg, do you have any questions about those?
No,
I mean, I'm fine with them.
I am too.
Okay, I'm gonna
I'll
move that we
have to-
approve the 3 properties. For easements, Farmland Protection Board easements, and that's the property at 512 Shelter Road, Fayetteville. 262 Bragg Hollow Road, Fayetteville, and 3334 Saturday Road, Victor.
second.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
understand you have a request for board member.
Yes, ma'am. Susanna Wheeler would like to join our board.
I don't have a problem.
I don't need it. She's definitely pro farmland, so. I'll make a motion to
There's
approve
the program.
Susie as a board member.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then you have a third request.
We don't need to do that. That was, we already dealt with that issue.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
I've got these plain copies of these orders. Let's just go ahead and sign these.
Okay. My favorite.
And at this time, I'm gonna move that we go into executive session to discuss, with our legal counsel, the planning commission recommendation issue on the zoning issue that we just heard. We also have 2 items on the exhibit list that we need to discuss in executive session, for legal advice. One is opioid settlement legal advice, and the other is with regard to, West Virginia American Water Asset Purchase Agreement. So I move that we go into executive session at 9:54 to discuss those 3 matters with our counsel.
Second. Okay, welcome back. We just come out of executive session. No decisions were made. So, which one we want to start off with here, commissioners?
We'll start with the planning commission. We have people in
Okay,
the room.
all right. In the case of the planning commission, would you like to make the statement? Commissioner Taylor?
Well, I think, in my view, I don't buy the argument or the threat, however you want to characterize it, that the community could be turned into a subdivision. First of all, additional research our staff did shows that that piece of property was not zoned as a subdivision in the first place. The second issue is, if you want to subdivide a property, you have to come to county commission. So that is not something that intimidates me.
I can understand how that argument would have persuaded our planning commission because they wanna minimize the detriment or perceived detriment to the neighbors. But it does not intimidate me because I know better. And I don't think enough has changed to satisfy me that that property should be rezoned. And for that, I'm gonna make a motion that we choose not to uphold the planning commission's recommendation this time, that we overturn it and not allow the rezoning.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye. So, Anthony, could you do an order for council? Okay. All right, next issue was,
Opioid settlement.
fire truck purchases, right?
Okay, all right, fire truck.
Okay,
All
so
right, next item is the fire truck purchases.
Commissioner Fournette, you want to speak to
Commissioner
that?
Fournette? You're-
Yes, the fire truck purchases, we had pledged, with an MOU, we pledged 800,000 for 3 departments. Per department in a 4-year period. And we understand that, I mean, we could save some savings and have tax. Or not tax, but, some interest saved if we paid up front. If we paid 3 trucks at 800,000 apiece, that's $2.4 million. And that's a large chunk of money that would come out of that budget. I feel it would stress the budget. I propose that we would give the 200,000 per year to these 3 departments. And as they wish, if they submit the invoice of the amount per year that would be paid up front, the 200,000 would be paid upfront per year, and however you wish to structure that loan, or that, however you wish to structure the amount. But we will pay, once submitted, properly submitted, the 200,000 would be paid per year upfront as it comes in, but it would be paid by the commission to the 3 entities as they would structure.
To the.
To the manufacturer or whoever the loan amount is about, because they may go out and get a loan, it wouldn't go to the manufacturer, it may go to the loaning division. But 200,000 per year,
To the lender.
that would give us 4 years to pay it, well, basically 4 years. To pay the 800 off per unit. So I move that we submit a $200,000 payment, properly submitted to each of the 3 divisions, to departments per year, subject upon proper submission.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor, but I do have a question. Could you, I want to make sure it's not clear as mud. Right now, I see things muddy. So you're saying 200,000, is that up front? You're going to give them 200,000 to buy down the truck, and then the remaining 600 over a 3-year period,
Correct,
which equals the 4 years?
correct.
Okay,
Now, we can discuss this. We have fire department here. We can discuss this. We can have discussion if the motion's been submitted and second, but do you have anyone have anything to say?
Yeah.
Come on.
Even though I respect your recommendation, I disagree with it. The fact of we're all trying to create savings in our government spendings. And the time frame that we're dealing with, our truck will probably be created and manufactured and delivered to us a little bit over a year. And we're creating, if we would do a payment up front of the $800,000, which our purchases are going to exceed the $800,000. That we're creating finance charges, we're decreasing the initial cost of the trucks, which I feel like I disagree with your philosophy. There's never been an opportunity since I've been involved with this levy in 1982 that there's been a huge expenditure made, as Mr. Taylor's referred to in the MOU designations. There's never been a fire department that's come to the county commission and said, we've lost $1 million entity, or we've lost $1 million fire engine. There's always responsible options that are in place, that you have insurance to replace a facility or $1 million fire truck. So it's not like a fire department's gonna be coming to the commission and wanting an exuberant amount of money. I can see where they would have a loss where they might need a injection of $20,000, let's say, for equipment from a truck that's been totaled or something like that. But to say that you're concerned with that amount of money, and it could be, I'm not saying to spend the money completely down, but we're looking at savings opportunities here with these three purchases that we're making. And I'm just trying to convey that we're looking at this payment up front is going to save us money on the purchase price, plus the finance charges that we're going to be incurring on these purchases. Just asking you to consider that.
So what would you think would be a better proposal?
I think a better proposal would be, and I can't speak for the other two departments, but with ours, we're looking at the opportunity to, when a contract is drawn, whether it's through Sourcewell or a bidding process, that upon the department receiving the documentation, which ours would be through the city of Oak Hill, that we forward that to you. Here's the agreement, here's the cost, and that we request this to be paid out up front. There's incentives when you purchase a fire engine, when a cab and chassis is delivered to the manufacturer. There are bonuses there if you pay for that being delivered up front. That can be, I know I'm speaking old school monies, but the last engine we purchased, when we took advantage of that option, we saved another probably $15,000 to $20,000 on that being done. And there's incentives up front if you pay for this purchase, that we're going to be getting a reduction in the overall total cost, plus finance charges. City of Oak Hill would have to finance this.
I agree with you on all of that. I think I know where my reservation comes in is when I talk to the county administrator who handles our budget. Her concern is we can't bank on the levy's income from year to year. And, you know, if the legislature keeps talking about taking more property taxes or taking more things away from us, those sources of funds that fund the levy could be impacted by that. And that was her reservation, because my instinct was, yeah, let's pay the lump sum and pay it off, because I don't want all those extra costs, and I don't want you guys to have the debt. And in theory, that's what I would love to do. But she scared me. And now I feel like we need to be a little more prudent, because there are other things you guys want to do. And, you know, with the new fire station, there are, you know, fire departments that need roofs and floors and things like that. So, you know, that's the reason. It's not because we don't agree. I don't think anybody disagrees about that. And
What I'm anticipating is, by the formula that you're proposing, is it's going to push all these purchases over $1 million. So we're adding a lot of cost to that strategy of creating financing and lower, sharper charges of the total purchase to be made.
is the only way not to do that to pay the full 8, or is there another number?
Well, I can't speak to that right now as far as going beyond that, but we were looking at that possibility. We didn't expand beyond that discussion.
Yeah, I know we didn't ask you to. I just wondered if you had any idea.
I don't, because we're dealing with a number that's fluid right now because of what direction we might head in regard to the purchases.
That was the reason for my thought, and kept speaking with the county administrator, that we need to be, you know, watchful and you know, I think $200,000 is a large amount of money that maybe we could work with. I hope we can work with. I hope this helps our fire departments be the most efficient that they can be. And from what I understand, this is probably one of the largest we've made upfront. Am I not correct, Ruth, with your experience? Is 200,000 one of the largest down payments that we've made, or payment we've made? Yeah, I would think that 200,000, and maybe we can revisit it maybe at a future date if it comes up that we collect more or things change. But right now, Mr. Richardson, are you finished? I mean, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Timmy?
Tim, I'd like to say something. We have, or the Fire Association put money in the state investment. Some of the levy monies in the state investment pool. Okay, and available right now, there's 3.1 million somewhere in there. So you take the 2.4 off, that leaves $700,000 to pay $1 million worth of bills that was proposed. So that would make it very, very tight.
Well, that rolls back to decisions this commission made and prior commissions made in regard to funding. I can't speak to that. Y'all have to speak to that.
Yeah, but you know, like Commissioner Taylor said, the future of tax collection may be changed because of legislature. So
I can't.
we've got to work with what we have.
Well, it's going to cost us more, tremendously more towards our purchases.
Understand?
Any other from Mr. Richardson? Would anyone else like to speak?
I think Timmy pretty much summed up, you know, Fayetteville Fire Department also, that, the more money we can put down, cheaper it's going to be. I think the figures I gave y'all were anywhere between roughly $75,000, $40,000, depending on percentage that we were able to put down, based on the percentage of the cost. $1 million associated drug. My other questions, if that's y'all's decision, we'll have to live with that, but the other questions is that, we have a little bit of guidance on what y'all would consider that what you need to get the first $200,000, you know, whether you're a contract from the manufacturer, whether you need the actual documents for the lease purchase, because everything we have to do is through a lease purchase, as I'm sure you're aware of. And second thing would be a final copy of the MOU, because I'm sure, like Timmy, I've got to take that back to our city council. I can't just say, yeah, we're gonna do this. It's got to be approved by the city council, reviewed by our attorney also. So I'd ask for clarification then on what you need as far as for the first down payment or every down payment.
Yes, the purchase agreement probably, or the lease agreement, or whatever the legal document is between you and the manufacturer.
It would be, there's gonna be an agreement between the manufacturer, and then we have a separate agreement with whoever we choose for the lease purchase. Usually what it'll work.
I don't think they have to be the same person or same entity, do they, Ruth? I mean, it could be 200,000 down to the manufacturer, then when the truck is delivered. And I'm going to amend my motion, but I will do that in a minute to maybe satisfy that. But so it could be different people. You set it up with the manufacturer, it comes in, then the amount is
It
this.
usually is that you have a contract with the manufacturer, but then you also have a separate, like with another company or a bank for a lease purchase. And I guess you brought off also is that if we order a unit that can't be delivered for 3 years, will we still be able to get first year $200,000 to be used as a down payment? So we're not gonna have it delivered for 3 years.
Well, it's to pay for the truck though, even though it doesn't get here.
It's not up on
Yeah.
delivery.
I just want to make sure.
But
buying a truck, like a new car off a lot.
No, I understand.
Been a manufacturing timeline from 1 to 3 years.
What we need paperwork wise is who paperwork for, to whom you want us to pay the money.
Okay.
That's what we need. And then we'll pay them directly.
And it
money.
could be an initial payment to the manufacturer.
Yes.
But then, like the city of Oak Hill would create the financing for the balance of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then subsequent to that,
Yeah.
whoever we need to pay the money to, it doesn't have to be stable. This has to be who we owe the money to.
And can I ask, in the prior discussions we had in regard to the MOUs, has there been anything created and forwarded to all the departments in regard to us to consummate that agreement with the city of Oak Hill?
And what is the latest on the?
Michael has to, I just sent the
We're fixing it. There was a,
comments and tracking.
yeah,
Okay, so going back to the trucks real quick.
we'll
So it
submit
may
out
be a
to you.
year before you get the truck. So it'd be a $200,000, like if you went down to buy the truck tomorrow, given to you. And then another payment made even before you get the truck.
Right, that's what I'm getting at, so
Yeah.
maybe, we may be requesting. Yeah, I wouldn't request $200,000. Depending on when we sign a contract, with after we sign a contract with when our first request would be. And it may be 2 years worth of levy payments before we even get. the
Before
truck.
you get the truck, right?
But that's what we expect.
Yeah.
That's why we have that money there.
Do I need to?
And on your first, on the last truck that you purchased, Tim, how much did y'all put down on it?
Be paid, what fiscal year,
Uh,
fiscal year,
John, I can't remember what.
just 200,000 in each
We're
fiscal
dealing
year,
with
however it's in those.
such
But max
different
two.
figures.
Yeah.
We bought our last engine over 5 years ago.
How are we doing?
Close to 10 years ago. So the numbers are pretty dynamic. with this.
That was the big ladder truck, right?
No,
That y'all got?
no, it was an engine.
Oh,
No levy funds were involved with that area of purchase. None.
that was a cool truck though. And John, in the last truck that y'all bought,
Was the ladder truck. Again, the cost of that ladder truck was like around $750,000, and we can't get an engine for that now, so when you talk about how much we put down for it.
yeah, how much does a ladder truck cost now? Just grins and giggles?
$2.2 million.
2.2, 2.5,
Yes.
somewhere in there.
And 10 years ago, we paid 550,000 for the area that we had back. So that's the difference in number that you're dealing with. And then to.
Are they the same thing, an aerial and a ladder truck, are they?
Yeah.
It could be a straight stage
Sort of.
platform. That's-
So,
that could go.
so the truck prices have almost tripled. You can say.
So, Greg was gonna amend his motion.
Yeah, I would like to rescind the previous motion and make a new motion. I'll just make a new motion. I move that we provide $200,000 in the fiscal year of 25-26, payable on proper submission by the fire departments involved for the purchase of fire trucks for 3 municipalities. We would pledge $200,000 for each year following, each fiscal year following, 26, 27, 27, 28, until $800,000 is satisfied.
Is that specific? Okay. I second.
Motion's been moved, Hayden second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you for clearing up the mud.
Yeah, you're right, it was muddy.
I knew what he meant.
Well, I wanted to make sure everybody knows what it means.
So, opioid settlement, legal advice, our legal advice was due nothing yet. So, we'll put it back on the agenda when there is something to address. And, with regard to the West Virginia American Water Asset Purchase Agreement, we received additional information on the negotiations. No decisions were made. So I think that's everything. Right?
Yes.
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.